Welcome, welcome everybody. I am wealthy. I am that wealthy. Presents another episode with Black Dollar, your boy. We're in the building. What's up? This episode we're gonna talk about Sonya Massey. Give you my thoughts. We all saw the video, so we don't gotta go over the video again. If you didn't see the video, you could watch the video somewhere else. I ain't even with all the technology to be trying to figure out how to play videos and do all that right now. Maybe eventually I'll get to that, but right now I'm just giving you my thoughts. We could stew and ponder. Y'all could get at me in the comments. But for right now, like, subscribe, join, be a part of what we building here. This is going to be a community of positivity, of light, of love, of respect for life, of respect for humanity, of respect for our brotherhood, our sisterhood, our commonalities, and the things that bring us together. That's going to be a theme of everything that we do here. So if you're looking for a place for positive talk, for real takes, for down to earth conversation, regardless of your complexion, um, this is the place. And I think pretty much everything that needs to be said about Sonya Massey has been said. Obviously, um, the officers in jail, he's facing charges, and rightfully so. I just kind of want to talk to anyone who thinks he shouldn't be in jail or facing charges, or that she threw the pot, as I see some people say. And it just always amazes me how when black people end up with bullets in them for absolutely no reason, how there's always someone there with the justification. I think the mental health thing was overplayed in this situation. She didn't do anything, in my opinion, that was mental health. I think the officers, from what I saw, completely went there to set her up. I said initially, I think they must have had some sort of previous encounter, or knew her, or her family may have been suing, might have been suing the department or something. It just didn't seem like a random call to me. They barely searched around the house, barely went in the backyard. They lied about searching up and down the block. The one cop's camera isn't on. They're saying maybe she's flushing drugs when they're standing outside. The cop props the door open. There's just so much wrong. Um, I would think as a police, you get a call late at night for a woman thinking there's a person prowling around their home. I would make contact with the person at the home to let them know we're here before I go look around the house. Um, and I wouldn't have propped the door open as a person who has a female African American family. I know, first of all, our screen door probably would have been locked. But if it isn't, most people would talk to you from behind their screen door. So the fact that you propped the screen door open and was, to me, just not right. So, obviously we live in a world today of psyops, and you have to look at everything and question, is it even real? Is this just crisis actors? Are these real people? Or, and then you see Ben Crump, and I tried to check Ben Crump's webpage, it wasn't even up. I got a link to a webpage for Ben Crump, and it wasn't even up. So I kind of question anytime I see Ben Crump, honestly. But a lot of it is controlled opposition. A lot of times you have controlled narratives, and you never really know what's what. Um, but if this is a real case and a real person, then yeah, this guy needs to go to jail because obviously the woman put the pot on the counter, ducked behind the counter. The guy still screaming at her, "Drop the effing pot! Drop the effing pot!" He closes the distance, comes around the counter, which obviously was a barricade between him and her. Uh, the idea that the woman just wanted to throw the hot water on him, she could have done that at the door. She didn't have to open the door. She could have locked the screen door, and as soon as they came to the door, she could have just opened the door and threw the water on him. She could have threw the water at him through a window. If that was just what she wanted to do. There was a bat on the couch that she never went for. She never made any gesture with the water, like she was going to throw it before he pointed the gun at her. So, I think this was just a racist cop. I look at his tattoos. Uh, those tattoos to me look like tattoos that people get each time they kill someone. The skulls, a couple of skull heads look like maybe he might have killed a couple of people and got some skulls. Got his bones, made his bones. Um, the other officer had what again appears to me to be an actual demon sigil. Y'all could look into that, the partner. But they both drew their weapons on her and were commanding her to drop the effing pot that was sitting on the counter. So if she did grab the pot and it spilled, or she attempted to throw it at that point, by the time it even got to that point in time, they had violated her so much that even, in my opinion, that even if she were to be trying to throw the pot at two armed men in her home pointing a gun at her, she's in the right. I think we as Americans need to really get over this love for the police. They are just people, they go to work. In fact, they have government jobs, which have actually the lowest level of hiring standards amongst any employer. Basically, everyone qualifies. They have to be that way. Um, it's not like they work for Google, you know. They're not doing brain surgeries. They don't work at the hospital. They're not cardiovascular surgeons. They don't go and get 10 and 12 years of education like physicians or PhDs or smart people who do smart things. They do meatball surgery, okay? Dissecting pizzas. Only thing they know the circumference of is a donut. So, to put these people on the pedestal with no accountability, I think the time is up. I think the jig is up. And I'm happy to see these fast prosecutions. And even if they are just staged, and the purpose of staging them is to set the climate to limit this happening to other people, um, you know, but I think obviously accountability is necessary. Accountability is important in all police encounters. I think anytime when an officer has any interaction with any member of the public and his camera is not on, that should be a felony in and of itself for destroying a public record. Grounds for termination, especially if you're in someone's home. I mean, at some point, once you breach the door of someone's home, you should know your camera needs to be on. I think he turned the camera off once he was in the home, but I'm not a forensic investigator. I just, from what I see from watching, it looks to me like he pressed the camera off when they were talking and then turned it back on after he shot her. So I think he just had malicious intent, and this is an actual lynching on video. And the partner showed up with his heavy duty beat people up gloves on. I pay attention to all of these small things. I wouldn't be surprised if the officers were the ones prowling in the first place, or even something like that. Again, as I said, I've dealt with lying, crooked, corrupt cops, judges, DAs, uh, man, the whole works. Public defenders. It's a crooked system. There's no other way to define it. To call it anything else would be a lie, and I try not to lie. Um, so again, that's pretty much my takes on Sonya Massey. I think the cop went there to shoot her. It looks like he had ill intent. He was talking to her very disrespectfully from the door. He propped the door open, went in her house, um, sent her over to the pot. The whole "I rebuke you, Jesus" thing is not like she said it with any kind of motion of throwing the pot. She said it. She maybe was had her hands on the pot sitting on the counter. You know, again, as a black man, I've heard black women say "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus" 100,000 times and never took it as a threat. If anything, I think the translation to Caucasian would be "I resent the implication." You think I'm going to throw boiling hot water on you for no reason? I resent the implication. What would even make you think that? What have I done to give you any idea that I'm sitting here plotting to throw boiling hot water on you? If you actually look, when she first went in the house, she went into the kitchen and walked out of the kitchen with the pot still on the stove. Went and sat next to the bed. She wasn't using any of this as a weapon. If maybe, again, a woman at home, she hears someone prowling outside the house, she doesn't have a gun, she grabs her bat, she starts boiling some water. She's thinking, well, if someone comes in here before the police get here, they're going to get the hot water treatment. Understandable. The cops get there, they kind of calm everything down. There's no one here, nothing going on. All right, let me take the pot off the stove. Maybe she was gonna mop. I've known people who, when they're cleaning, they boil water because the pipes don't get hot enough. And again, a woman living alone maybe doesn't know how to go down and turn up the boiler. So they boil water and sometimes run cold water into the hot water to get water hot enough to mop or, wash laundry out in the sink. These are just things that I've seen black women do. So, I've seen people say, well, why'd she take the pot off the stove? Maybe she wasn't cooking with the hot water. She had a blue bucket on the floor. She may have been ready to mop the floor. It's just a whole bunch of innocent, non-criminal things that I've seen black women boil hot water for. I've seen black women boil hot water if it's cold outside and the heat ain't working. To boil the water, the steam heats the apartment. So, I mean, that's what my grandmother used to do. And I think any black person that got a grandmother that they grew up around and maybe faced some economic hardships would agree. You know, uh, that would be like saying they walked in the house, the oven was open, they thought she was going to try to push them in. No, maybe she's heating the house. There's legal, lawful, innocent reasons, especially why someone in their home would have a pot on the stove, why she would take the pot off the stove, or why she didn't just turn the fire off. If you're boiling the water and you have a purpose for why you're boiling it, why would you just turn it off? Why wouldn't you use it to do what you were going to do with it? So maybe she was going to pour it in the bucket and mop when the cops left, when they got right out of her hair, like they said they would be. Who knows? Okay. But that was a murder. It was hard to watch. It was sad to see. And I guess the part of me that hopes it wasn't real is like the same part of me that hopes, Tupac isn't dead. Michael Jackson isn't dead. That kind of part of, I guess we all have that part when we see something tragic like that, that we kind of just hope it wasn't real. So maybe it's the first stages of grief, disbelief, you know, for having to witness something so traumatic and sad and unnecessary, and just the complete devaluation of life, dehumanization of a person, of one of God's children, someone that God thought enough of to bring into this world. Like, I think we really need to sit down and think about what life is, you know, really sit down and think about what life is. How unique, how special, how talented, how loved people are, how necessary people are. because again, in my opinion, the music, it's deep. I can't even call it music. I won't call it music. If anybody has a name, a better name, put it in the comments. I'm not gonna call it music. It's audio warfare. The audio warfare. That's what I'm gonna call it for now. I may refine the term, but off the head, we're gonna go with audio warfare. The audio warfare, the visual warfare, the spiritual warfare is getting to our people. And enough is enough. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness like everyone else. So we're going to get together and we're going to break down this machine because we, the people, we have the right. It's within our right to abolish any form of government that doesn't serve our needs. That is the purpose of government. So I'm going to end on that. We're going to build on that. And I want the lawyers, the scholars, the thinkers, the sociologists, the psychologists, the PhDs who deal with this stuff, not just the Dr. Umar Johnsons of the world, the people who are actually in academia to really come to the forefront of this conversation. Join the chat, join the conversation, join the community, and join what we're building here, because that's what we're going to need to really build this community and get where we need to go. Amen.